Do you ever feel like maybe you're not on the right path? The direction you're on isn't really playing out the way that you hoped it would or expected it to? Have you ever thought about maybe changing careers or doing something different? Is there something that you've envisioned or fantasized about that you think would give you more joy, more happiness, more satisfaction? I know I have. And today, I'd like to help you figure out what your direction should be. I know I have, right? My life has been a system and a series of readjustments, changing directions, thinking this was what success was going to look like, and then changing and shifting focus. All right, tell you a little bit about my story before I actually give you some things that you can do in order to try to find your purpose, your passion, and your path. For me, from the age of 12, it was pretty simple. I knew from the age of 12 exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to own a fitness center. A lot of you guys have heard this story before, but from 12 years old, I knew that that's what I wanted to do for literally the rest of my life. It was because when I went to the gym at 12 years old, I finally felt like the king. I felt like the man. My entire life, I struggled with insecurity. I struggled with feeling like I wasn't good enough, inadequacies. But when I went to the gym, 12 years old, I felt like the man. My muscles started to get big and strong. I loved being there. I loved the energy. I loved seeing all these other dudes working out, lifting weights. And a lot of these older dudes would take me under their wing because I was the youngest dudes. Back then, 12-year-olds weren't working out, right? This is not like it is today. I just kept going and my confidence started to build. Now at home, I felt like crap a lot of times, but when I went to the gym, I felt amazing. And I knew that if I could feel that good when I was there, I wanted to feel that way every day of my life, and that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my years. And so from the age of 12 years old, solo direction, one direction. That's what I wanted to do. And so what happened? I went to college. What am I going to do? Business management, because I wanted to own a gym. Coincidentally, I also did a minor in marketing, not to mention community health promotion. I also, while I was in school getting my degree, got certified as a personal trainer through the certification program ACE. I failed it the first time. I got it the second time. This was back before you would actually take classes or courses or tests online, right? There were only a few personal training certifications back in 1990, I think it was 7, when I actually got my certification. And I knew that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so fast forward, I got out of college, I moved to Atlanta. Why did I move to Atlanta? Because my buddy Terry's father was like, yo, Atlanta's booming. It was just after the Olympics, and he's like, if you can't make a business work there now, you can't make that business work now. And I was like, all right, sounds good. I didn't want to go back to Philadelphia because all my friends were either selling cars or doing drugs, and I just didn't want to be around that because if I'm being honest, my childhood, I just didn't feel super good about being there. I didn't feel good about going back there. It felt like failure for me to go back. And so I left. I went to Atlanta, right? I got a job, Bally's Fitness. I met a dude. He's like, hey, let's open a nutrition store, and we did. And that's kind of that's the Cliff Note version to how I got into the nutrition business. And then we did that for about 2 years. I was in the nutrition business. We opened 3 locations, and it was fun until it wasn't fun. My business partner decided that I'm not going to get into my whole business partner issue there, but while I was there, I met a woman, Linda. I've talked about that before. I helped her lose 100 pounds. And basically one day she came to me, she said, Aaron, I want to help other people the way that you helped me. Would you be interested in being my business partner and opening a personal training studio? I said, fuck yeah. And the rest, as they say, is history. Actually, it isn't. It was very painful and it was horrible and it was very bad. But it was definitely a good learning experience. We signed the lease for a location on September 11th, as in the September 11th, when the planes were cruising into the World Trade Center. That should have been an omen as to how that business was going to unfold. Long story short, fast forward a few years, we ended up having to shut down the business. We had to file bankruptcy. I was personally on the hook for $500,000 in personal loans that I've guaranteed. In order to make that business work. It didn't work. And at that point, I was driving a beer cart at Indian Hills Country Club. I was in my 30s. I was living with my then wife, now girlfriend, or my then girlfriend, now wife. And the worst part about that whole time, it wasn't bankruptcy, it wasn't being broke, it was a lack of direction. It wasn't knowing what I wanted to do with the rest of my life because literally from the age of 12, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I was the type of dude, I didn't have a plan B. I'm plan A all the time. But what happened? I had to figure it out. I needed to figure something else out. And so I kind of pulled different threads, things that interest me, things that I wanted to try. I tried. Long story short, I had to give up my dream of owning a fitness center because it wasn't viable anymore. That's what I was passionate about. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted from the age of 12, but it wasn't going to happen anymore. And at the time, it wasn't the loss of a dream. It was the not knowing what was next. That was so scary and so hard. And I know that there are a lot of people out there just like you that may not know right now. You might not have had the horrible failure like I had. You just may be in a position or a point in your life where you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure. I'm in college. I don't really know what. I'm not really passionate about much things other than like gaming or whatever it is. What do I do? Where do I go? How do I figure out what that direction should be? How do I not disappoint my parents? First thing, don't worry about them. They'll be all right. All right, they got to make their choices. Now it's time for you to make yours. For me, let me continue the story. I just started trying different things. At the time, I was still moonlighting as a personal trainer because that's what I was good at and that's what I had in terms of a skill. My resume sucked. I literally was in business for myself since the age of like 21. Nobody would hire me, and I tried. I tried to get regular jobs, right? My wife or my then girlfriend was like, why don't you just get a job? You've got a business degree. Why don't you just go to like management? Why don't you go like manage a sporting goods store or a gym or something? And I couldn't do it. I put together my resume and I'm like, nobody's going to hire me. Nobody's going to hire a hardworking entrepreneur with good people skills. They're just not going to, because I'd been out of the game for so long. I didn't have any track record. I literally would have been making $25,000 a year if somebody would have hired me. But I decided to keep looking, keep trying, keep striving. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. Even though it was painful, I didn't want to work for somebody else. I figured that I could figure it out some way, shape, or form, and if I made $40,000 working for myself, that would have been more money than I'd been making my entire life, so I'd be good, and I'd be happy because I was living life on my terms. But then I needed to figure out what it was. What was that next direction? What was that next step? I was still being a personal trainer, like I was saying, working people out in their homes, but I hated it. At that point, I was so over fitness and that industry because I felt like my dreams were shattered that I hated it. I wanted to do anything other than that. But something else that it turns out I was kind of good at and I really enjoyed was style and grooming. I got in trouble when I was 10 years old for cutting my neighbor's hair, right? I've always been into style. I used to go to thrift stores and find deals, and I was voted best dressed in high school, and I literally was like one of the poorest kids there, right? All my clothes came from thrift stores, but I understood how to match things and look and hunt and look cool, right? I loved it. I also loved grooming. I started trimming actually I didn't grow a beard for a long time because I didn't have a beard for a long time. Plucking my eyebrows, trimming my eyebrows, shaving my pubes, trimming my butt hair. I was into this. I was into my hair. I was into cutting my own hair. I was into hair products. I was into this. And so one day when a client, Steve, came up to me at the gym, was like, hey, I got a date. I don't know what to do. You know, I got clothes, but I don't know what to wear. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I come over to your place and actually see what you have? We'll go shopping if we need to, and I'm going to make an appointment at a hair salon because your hair's a mess and your nose hairs are crazy, right? I didn't do that because I thought it was a business. I didn't realize that it was going to become a business and then segue into what I do here on YouTube. No idea back in the day, but I just was interested in it. And so I scratched the itch. I just went with it, right? And that's the first thing and the first tip and the first lesson I'd like to share with you. If there's something that you're good at or interested in, go with it. Is there a way to turn or parlay your interest, your like, your passion into something that's actually going to pay the bills? For a lot of you, the answer is probably going to be no, right? And in that situation, do not follow your purpose or your passion. Follow the money. What are you good at? What are you good at that is actually going to pay the bills? All right? The thing that you're passionate about, keep that as a hobby. There's nothing wrong with that. But some of you, you're going to find that thing that you're really good at, that you're interested in, that you can actually parlay into some type of payment or way to make money for yourself. And in those situations or cases, that's the thing. So I take my buddy shopping, I do that whole thing. He's a meteorologist at the Weather Channel. He goes to work. A woman's like, yo, you look different, you look great. He's like, yeah. A guy took me shopping. She's like, do you think you'd do that for my husband? And so he's like, maybe. So she called me. She's like, how much do you charge? I'm like, charge? What? Okay, let's do this. What are you good at? What are you interested in? Is it money? Is it financing? Is it investing? Is it real estate? Is it clothing? Is it apparel? Is it videography? Is it social media? Is it video gaming? What is that thing that you enjoy? What is that thing that gets you excited? What is that thing that if you didn't have to worry about money, you would do? Now, like I said, a lot of those things, you don't need to worry about making money at it because you can't and it's a hobby. But for some of you, that thing, if you just figure out how to turn that dial just right, you're going to basically figure out a direction to go. I'm not saying that direction is going to be forever. You've got to be smart enough to realign and refocus when you realize that you need to change directions. And that's what happened to me. Each iteration of my business was because I was looking around. I was going in a specific direction, and then it was like, let me try this. It would be cool if I did this. Or do you think it would work if I tried X? Right? Each time I pull that thread. Sometimes the answer was no, it won't work. But some of those times the answer was, hell yeah, it not only worked, it was amazing. And if you would have told me 20 years ago that I'd be making money selling hair product on the internet or making videos, I would have punched you in the face because that was not what my North Star looked like. My North Star was a chain of fitness centers. That was the only thing that would have made me happy. That was the only thing I was passionate about. It was my only purpose I felt. But then when the purpose went away, I needed to change. Guys, I want to talk about a class real quick that I took that I loved. It's by a woman named Emma Gannon at Skillshare. They're not a sponsor of this video, but I am going to link them down below because there is a free 30-day thing that I've got from the Alpha M YouTube channel. She's got a class called Uncovering Your Purpose, Your Passion, and Your Path. She's got an exercise in there that is incredible. It's called the Spider Web of Influence. Basically, she walks you through this exercise to really figure out why you do or feel the way that you do based on the influences in your life or the influences that you have had on your life. And it's powerful. It's not only powerful, it's eye-opening. This was the first step in this course. But through this course, honestly, it helped me basically recalibrate what success looks like. And that's the thing. That's the hard thing. Because once again, social media and the internet, and sometimes our parents or family members or friends, they've got their own preconceived notions of what success actually looks like. But it's not up to them. It's you. What does yours look like? Yours might be living in a tent on the beach and having enough money for a burrito every Tuesday. It's up to you, right? It's up to me. For me, success now looks like being able to continue to thrive in terms of my creativity, but also to keep building a successful business. Do I love e-commerce? The answer is no, I don't. I don't love getting into the weeds with the numbers. I don't love getting into the analytics in Amazon and Google AdWords. I don't love that stuff at all. But it's part of what I love, which is seeing something that I did and I took from zero that I'm interested in and love, like grooming and hair products, and making it successful. And then once it starts to be a little successful, can I make it a lot successful? And if I can make it a lot successful, can I make it extra, amazingly, a lot successful? And that's the point and the place that I'm at. And so I just want to encourage you guys, take this course. While you've got that 30-day free trial, it's also an incredible resource if you're somebody that's just thinking about different things, right? And the reason why I always talk about Skillshare and love Skillshare so much is that they've got courses and classes for you to just try a bunch of shit. If there's anything that interests you, right? Some of the popular classes, right? When you go on and you basically pick what things you're interested in, and it's going to filter you and show you a bunch of different courses on a bunch of different topics on a bunch of different things that you get to try. Take one section of a course. If you don't like it, move on to the next one. Because that's the thing. It's about trying a bunch of shit. There's a saying that I love. You throw a bunch of shit against the wall, eventually something will stick. If you're in the point right now that you're not sure which turd is going to stick, pick them up and start throwing. They're going to stick. At least some of them will. Some of them won't. And those are the ideas you probably should give up. But the bottom line is this. You are amazing. And I just wanted to share this little story and also offer you some insight and some inspiration. If you don't know what you want to do when you're 30 years old, no problem. Wait till you're 35. And if 35 comes and you still don't know, don't worry. Maybe you'll figure it out at 40. And if you're 45 and still don't know, 50 is right around the corner. You're never too young. You're never too old to be successful. Do not let your past define you. Go after what you want. I believe in you. You're awesome.